Yuganaham yogi, yogi. Avaduta Yugana Yuganaham yogi, yogi, yogi. Yugana Yuganaham, Yugana Yuganaham, Yugana Yuganaham yogi.
Your Excellency, the Prime Minister of Bhutan, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I, on behalf of the Royal Institute of Governance and Strategic Studies, would like to extend a warm welcome to the 15th RIGSS Friday Forum Lecture. It is indeed an honor to introduce Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev to you all. Yogi, mystic, and visionary, Sadhguru is an author, poet, and spiritual master with a difference. Ranked amongst the 50 most influential people in India, he has spoken at many prestigious forums from World Economic Forum to United Nations to the leading business schools and universities of the world. Sadhguru is also the founder of Isha Foundation, an international non-profit volunteer-run organization with over 7 million volunteers across the world. Isha Foundation is running large-scale grassroots projects in ecology, health, and education, such as Isha Vidya, which is a very large-scale rural education project supporting close to 500 government schools. Project Green Hands is the largest ecological project in Asia, having enabled the planting of more than 27 million saplings with the support of over 2 million people. As a renowned speaker and as an author, what connects him to his audience is that he does not side with any religious sentiment and is involved with individual transformation. Marking a clear departure from mere customs and ritual, Sadhguru's scientific methods for self-transformation are both powerful and direct. He incorporates and presents what is most valid for the contemporary life from the yogic sciences and enables all those who encounter him to explore and experience the deepest dimensions of life. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, today Sadhguru will speak on the Buddha within. And before I welcome Sadhguru on stage, we would like to present a short video to know more about Sadhguru and his novel initiatives.
In the next half hour, you're going to meet a man who has a devoted following across India and indeed around the world. While yoga and meditation are at the core of his teachings to promote individual growth, the work of the foundation covers conservation, education and health. And you'll find him astonishingly pragmatic on a range of very modern-day problems. Let's meet Sadhguru.
For the very first time in the history of humanity, we have the necessary resource We have the necessary capability, we have the necessary technology to address every human problem on the planet. Even 25 years ago, we couldn't have dreamt of it. But the only thing that is missing is consciousness.
Today, the spotlight is on a project called Green Hands in India.
We started a mass campaign and 6 years I spent planting trees in people's heads. That's the most difficult terrain, believe me. And now in the last 6 years, we've been transplanting it and that's happening much more easily.
Action for Rural Rejuvenation is mainly aimed at rejuvenating the human spirit. English and computer skills are very essential to make these children come out of the hopeless economic and social pit they are in.
If you could first tell our viewers, what is the idea behind it? Initiative, insight, which is more specific towards entrepreneurs.
Whatever the nature of your business, ultimately it is all about human well-being.
Isha Foundation, a non-religious, non-profit public service organisation headquartered in southern India.
We've engineered the outside world in so many ways, but we've done nothing about this one.
If you want to know well-being, in is the only way out.
This is what I want to teach you too. That is, you can be completely intoxicated without any drug, just on life. This is a shift from wine to divine.
How can you love one and hate the other when the same divine exists in all? Spiritual process is not about looking up or looking down, it is about turning inward.
See, the only thing that I'm really good at is just this. I can just make the air around me just crackle with energy.
If you have to describe yourself in one word,
Would you consider wildlife as 2 words or 1 word?
it's
I would now like to invite Sadguru on the stage. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev.
sukadam maranam karunam milanam maduram smaranam karunam kalavashadiha sakalam karunam samayadipate akilam karunam. Namaskaram. Good evening to everyone. Is audio okay? Hello? Is audio clear? Hello? Can't hear anything. Needs to be raised. Okay, it's better. Good evening, everyone. Namaskaram. After this 2.5 millennia, after this nearly… No. Please give me a handheld microphone if necessary. Just give it to me loose. I don't want it to stand, just give it to me. Hello, is this better? After over 2.5 millennia, if we utter the word Buddha, today most people think of Gautama, the Buddha. Well, Gautama was not the only Buddha. There were many before him, many at that time, many more after him. Buddha is not his name. His name is Gautama Siddhartha. He became a Buddha. What does becoming a Buddha mean? The word Bhu means buddhi or the intellect. The means dada, one who is above. One who is above his intellect is a Buddha. One who is trapped in his intellect is a non-stop suffering human being. If something happens, they will suffer. If something does not happen, they will suffer. Because that is the nature of the intellect. Today, if you largely look at people's lives on the planet, at the age of 5, how joyful you were. And today, whatever your age, how joyful you have become today. Has it gone up or gone down? Is a question. Has it gone up or gone down? Hello? Has it gone up or gone down? Gone down. At the age of 5, when your intellect was so small, If you could be so joyful, if your intellect had grown in the right direction, by the time you're 30, you should have been ecstatic, isn't it? But just the reverse has happened for most people. Not necessarily that they are miserable all the time, no. But they're not bursting with joy anymore. When you were 5 years of age, somebody had to make you miserable. Today, somebody has to make you happy. The equation has gotten reversed. Not because there's something wrong with life, simply because there is an intellect for which there is no stable enough base. So once you're into the process of intellect, whichever way life falls, it makes you suffer for that. If people are poor, they suffer their poverty. If they become rich, they suffer the taxes. If they're uneducated, they suffer that. Put them to school, endless suffering. If they're not married, they suffer that. Get them married. I did not say anything. No children, they suffer that. Give them children, daily suffering. So, it is not a particular thing that people are suffering. People are capable of suffering anything. Yes or no? Anything they will suffer. Because the suffering is not in the life around us. The suffering is in the nature of our own intellect, how it functions. So it doesn't matter. You can be anything in the world and still suffer. So, being a Buddha becomes of tremendous importance, so that you're above the intellect. If you're above the intellect, that is the end of suffering. Because there are only two kinds of suffering in human life: physical suffering, mental suffering. Do you know any other kind of suffering? Are you on talking terms with me or no? Hello? Is there any other kind of suffering? No. Physical suffering, mental suffering. Physical suffering, it is not really suffering, it is just pain. Suppose an injury happens, something, a disease happens, there is pain in the body. Pain is not a very bad thing. Pain is good, because if there was no pain at all in this body, most people would not know how to even preserve their body. For example, see, wherever there is no pain in your body, see in how many ways you have cut all these things. Simply because there is no pain, isn't it? Suppose there was no pain in your nose. In the name of fashion, you would have cut it up in so many ways. If there was no pain at all in the body, in the name of fashion, people would have pulled out their intestines and… Don't think I'm joking, people would do it. Pain is keeping them intact. You're walking on the street, if a bicycle comes, you step back. Not necessarily out of humility, it is a consequence of pain, isn't it? If there was no pain at all in this body, if a truck came, you will go like this. Even now some people are going like that. So, pain is very important right now. Till people come to a certain level of sense, pain is important. Without pain, you could not keep the integrity of this body. But transforming pain into suffering means, the pain that happens in your body, you take it into your mind, multiply it 1,000 times, that's suffering. When was the last time when somebody poked you with a dagger? Hello? When was the last time? They never did. Maybe when you were in school, somebody poked you with a pin at the most. Or maybe even that they did not do, they just ignored you. I'm saying, how much of your suffering is coming from outside? Just a minuscule, isn't it? Rest is all self-help. The sharper the intellect, the more you can poke yourself. People come to me and say, Sadhguru, I can't bear it, my mother-in-law, she's not even human. And my husband, well, it's her son. What else can he be? My wife, she's impossible. My boss, he's a slave driver. All kinds of things. I tell them, don't worry. Your husband, wife, mother-in-law, boss, I will make sure nobody comes here. You come, stay with me. We'll give you good food, nice place to stay, nothing to do. Just be joyful, that's all. Just be joyful. You don't have to work for your food and shelter. I'll take care of everything for you. Only thing is, I will make random checks on you. Whenever I check on you, you must be joyful. If you're not joyful, I don't believe in feeding misery, you know. If you're miserable, the misery should not be fed, isn't it? Because it'll grow. You leave them alone in a room for 24 hours. Oh, in how many ways they'll twist themselves. If you're alone and you're miserable, obviously you're in bad company, isn't it? Yes? If you're alone and you're miserable, obviously you're in bad company. If you're with me and you're miserable, maybe it's me. But if you're alone and you're miserable, you are in bad company, isn't it? So, becoming a Buddha means you transcended this trouble spot of intellect. Only if you transcend can you use it the way you want. Otherwise, it will use you in so many ways. It is amazing. People live for 50, 60 years and still they don't know how to deal with their own thought, their own emotion. You may call it by many names, anxiety, misery, tension, stress. No, essentially you don't know how to deal with your own thought and your own emotion, isn't it? Yes? If you knew, if you could have the thought that you want, if you could have the emotion that you want right now, would you be blissful or miserable? Blissful for sure, isn't it? So essentially, the basic faculties that you have not taking instructions from you, that is the main problem. Your body doesn't take instructions from you, your mind doesn't take instructions from you, and you hope to go somewhere. Suppose you sat in your car and your car became like this. You want to go this way, it goes this way. Is it safe to sit in this car, I'm asking? Your automobile you may use for a few hours a day. It is through the vehicle of this body and this mind that you travel your entire life. Is this taking instructions from you? That's the question. So a Buddha means someone who is the master of his mind. What he says is what his mind does. Now this one cannot be miserable, isn't it? If your mind taking total instructions from you, you would make sure every moment of your life you're blissed out, not miserable, for sure. So being a Buddha does not mean that you have to become something on the outside. It is an inner process that you have raised above the body, above the mind. Your experience of life has transcended the limitations of body and mind. Why is this important? Can I ask you, what did you have for lunch? Hello? Anybody can tell me, what did you have for lunch? What? Rice? Say something more interesting. Huh? chili. You ate something, whatever you ate. Whatever you ate in a few hours is transforming itself into a human being, isn't it? Or in other words, you were not born like this, you were born this much. Today you became this much. How? Just the food that you've eaten. Maybe half of it is chili, I don't know. But it's just the food that we've eaten that is sitting here right now, isn't it? This body, it is a piece of this planet. Yes or no? See, either you get it from me now, which will be very good for you, or one day you will get it from the maggots. That day when we are buried, you will anyway understand this is a piece of the planet. But if you understand right now, we can live sensibly. If you get it that day, it's nice, but it's too late. This is just a piece of the planet, isn't it? What you gather, you can claim is mine. But if you think it is me, then you've lost it. It's like this. Here there's a vessel. Suddenly I take this in my hand and say, this is my vessel. You will think, oh, Sadhguru's got some problem. But let's listen, because everybody says he's wise. After some time, I said, this is me. Then you will say, let's go. Because if I claim something which is not me as me, you clearly understand this is a question of insanity and sanity, isn't it? Yes or no? This you're doing every day in your life. Food appears on your plate, you say, this is my food, you eat it, then you say, this is me. Is it true that you slowly gathered this body? Hello, hello? Is it true that you slowly gathered this body? What you gather can be yours, but can never ever be you. Is that so? Whatever we gather, we can claim it's ours for now, but it can never ever be us, isn't it? So, the content of the body was gathered from outside. The content of your mind also gathered from outside, isn't it? Depending upon what you're exposed to, accordingly the content of your mind. So what you call as my body, you gathered, it is a heap of impressions, this is a heap of food. Between these two heaps, where are you? If you sit on top of these heaps of body and mind, we call you a Buddha. If you're lost in the heap, what to do? If you get trapped below the heap, if you're below the mind, then at least in India we call them Buddhu. What do you call them here? What do you call them here? Okay. So the choice is this, either you can be a Buddhu or you can be a non-stop suffering human being lost in the heap, or you can sit on top of it and be a Buddha. Now, in some way you want to become a leader. Being a leader does not mean you have to rule a country or you have to do something. It is just this. Let us say you are meeting 10 people in your life, in your day. In a day, let's say you're meeting 10 people. When 10 people come your way, you have a choice, either to impact them positively or negatively, or let them pass by. If you impact them positively, you're a leader. If you let them pass by, you are a dry leaf which will go whichever way the wind blows. If you impact them negatively, you're a criminal. Yes or no? This is the choice every one of us have every moment of our life. It doesn't matter whether we hold positions or we don't hold positions, every moment, whoever comes in front of us, either we can impact them positively or negatively or let it pass by. It doesn't matter, you are at home and you have just 2 children, now you can still be a leader because raising future generation of this planet, creating the right kind of future generation for this planet needs a lot of leadership, isn't it? How small a role you have, how large a role you have, depends on where the society wants to put you for a variety of reasons. Based on competence, situations, many things are involved. But you either being a leader or not being a leader is something within. First of all, are you an accident or are you a leader? Because if your very experience of life, whether you're joyful or miserable, is decided by somebody else, you're an accident, isn't it? At least you must be a leader to this extent. What happens here, I decide. What happens within, I decide. At least this much leadership you must have, isn't it? If you have absolute leadership on this, then we call you a Buddha. A Buddha is someone who is able to decide what happens here. He doesn't allow somebody else to decide what happens here. There's a beautiful story. Gautama the Buddha one day was walking. A few people in a particular village stopped him and they abused him. They abused him in every possible way a man can be abused. Gautama heard all the abuses in full attention, not ignoring them, hearing every word of abuse. When they went on, then he said, "See, what is RIGSS? I have to go to these RIGSS people and I have something there. After I finish later in the evening, I'll come back the same way. If you have something more to say, you can tell me then." These are the kind of people, they will say 10 things. If you say one thing, they will beat you. They said 100 things. He says, "I will come back for more." What do you do with this man? Now this man is like this, not because he is a coward. If he claps his hand, 1,000 people will come. He can form an army if he wanted. Yes? He can easily form an army if he wants. He is like this because he has decided that he will live peacefully and blissfully. You pull him whichever way you want, he won't come your way. He will go only the way he wants to go. An intelligent man, isn't he? Hello? He will go where he wants to go. You pull him whichever way, he will not come your way. This is an intelligent man. This man will fulfill the purpose of his life effortlessly. But right now, most people are made like this. If somebody pulls this way, you will go away this way. If somebody pulls that way, they'll go that way. So once this happens, you will try to avoid people. Once this happens, you will try to avoid all responsibilities in the society because you're afraid somebody will pull you off the track. If you make yourself in such a way, nobody can determine what happens within you. Then you're a Buddha. You determine what happens within you. This means all your faculties are in your hands. Your faculties are not at the mercy of what happens around you. How does one become like this? Let me explore a few fundamentals. I'm sure you must know more stories about Buddha than me, but let me try my hand at you. This happened one day. Gautama the Buddha was sitting in a large congregation of disciples. Early morning, sun is yet to come up, a man came. This man is a great devotee, a devotee of Rama, full-time devotee. See, many of you are smart. Your devotion is only part-time. Most people in the world are like this. They are keeping their gods like insurance. If something goes wrong, I also paid my premium. But there are few people who took this seriously and made it full-time. This is one of them. These devotees won't utter any other word except God's name. So if they want to call you Ram Ram, if they want you to go Ram Ram, if they want something Ram Ram, no other word but Ram he uttered. He not just went to the temples, he built many temples. Age is passing, getting old, just a little doubt. Because there are a few people who don't believe in God and they seem to be doing fine. For them also sun rises in the morning, for them also flowers blossom, for them also food tastes good, for them also everything is happening. And they are saying there is no God. Suppose there is no God, my entire life will go waste. This question will come up to you only if you become full-time devotee. If you're a smart devotee who only brings in God when things go wrong, otherwise you do your own thing, then this question will not come up. But because he's full-time, this question came up, suppose there is no God, my entire life will go waste. So he came early morning, before sun arises, came and stood there in the corner, in the dark corner, in the shadows. Because having a devotee for all your life, now to ask this question, is there God or no God, is a very difficult thing. He came there and asked the inevitable question, is there God? Gautama looked at the man and gave a clear, emphatic answer, no. All these disciples, one big relief, woof, because any number of times they've asked these questions to him. Whenever they ask such questions, he becomes silent. He doesn't say a thing. For the first time, he gave a clear answer, no God. The message spread. The entire town started celebrating because it has been bothering everybody, is there God or no God, God or no God, every day it bothers them. And this man won't give an answer. For the first time he said, no God. The message went, the enlightened one has declared there is no God. See, just look at the freedom of this. No God means nobody watching you, nobody keeping accounts of your karma and trying to torture you later on. You can do what you want with your life. So celebrations happen through the day. In the evening again, the congregation gathered, Gautama was sitting, another man came. This man is a Charvaka. Charvaka means, in India, even today they are there, Charvakas are out and out materialists. They don't believe anything other than what they can see. Even today in India, as messengers of God go from town to town, village to village trying to spread their message, there are messengers of no God going from village to village and proving to people how there is no God. This is the only culture which allows this. Anywhere else they would be killed. But in this culture we allow them. So this is an expert Charvaka. It doesn't matter what kind of a believer you are. If you talk to him for 10 minutes, he will prove to you no God. Thousands of people, he proved no God, no God, no God. But age is going, getting old. Little doubt, suppose there is God. When I go there, will he leave me? And these believers also say he's got all kinds of torture equipment up there, you know. So he knows there is no God, just a little doubt. So he wants to confirm, now there's an enlightened being here, he wants to confirm. So he came late in the evening after the sun has set, stood in the shadows and asked this question, is there God? Gautama looked at the man and said, yes. Morning he said, no God. Everybody was relieved and happy. Now he